Welcome to the SUNY Potsdam Library's tutorial on peer-reviewed publications. In this video, we'll discuss what peer review is, the purpose it serves in academic publishing, and how you can locate peer-reviewed articles using the library's resources. Throughout your time in college, your professors will regularly ask you to locate peer-reviewed scholarly articles, and in many cases, they will only accept peer-reviewed articles for certain assignments. So what are they? Well, peer-reviewed articles come from peer-reviewed journals. Before publishing anything, these journals put all the articles they receive through a rigorous vetting process. And because of this, peer-reviewed articles represent the highest standard of academic publishing. Now, not all scholarly journals use peer review. So as you can see from this infographic, all peer-reviewed articles are scholarly, but not all scholarly articles are peer-reviewed. Peer review originated in the hard sciences, like chemistry and medicine, and it started a long way back. It was developed centuries ago in the 1600s and 1700s, but now most other academic disciplines use peer review as well. So as I've mentioned, the peer review process is very rigorous, and that's its strength. There are a lot of hoops that an article has to jump through to get published in a peer-reviewed journal, and this ensures that only the most worthy articles make it to print. To explain this process in simple terms, when an author submits their article to a peer-reviewed journal, the journal's editor first makes sure it is appropriate for the journal's subject matter, and also that the article is of interest to the journal's readers and is of a high level of research. If the article meets these benchmarks, the editor then sends the article out to experts in the article's field. These are the peers who will review the article. Depending on how the journal operates, there are usually between 2 and 6 such peers for any given article. These experts check the article over, vetting it for its legitimacy. They make sure its data and sources are accurate, that it properly applies scholarly theories, that it is saying something new and interesting in the field, and that its conclusions are reasonable. Once the peers are done with the article, they send it back to the editor, who uses their feedback to decide if the article should be published, rejected, or sent back to the author for revisions. Here's what astronomer Carl Sagan said about what peers are looking for. Did the author do anything stupid? Is there anything in here that is sufficiently interesting to be published? What are the deficiencies of this paper? Have the main results been found by anybody else? Is the argument adequate, or should the paper be resubmitted after the author has actually demonstrated what is here only speculated on? Frequently, the author will not know the identity of the peers reviewing their article. This is called a single blind review. And often, the reviewers won't even know the identity of the author, a double blind review. The blind review process removes personal feelings from peer review, ensuring that reviewers remain objective. Moreover, many academic fields are fairly small, and the people in them know each other. So if an author has their article rejected, they might come to resent the reviewer, who is only doing their job. Even so, some journals do go with open review, in which everyone involved knows each other's identities. This process can take several months, if not more than a year, for an article to go from submission to review to publication, and the majority of articles never make it all the way through. The most selective peer-reviewed journals reject upwards of 90% of submissions, although most are closer to the 50% rejection mark. Peer review acts as a filter. It catches articles that are poorly written, poorly reasoned, poorly sourced, or come to questionable conclusions. What this means to us is that if we're using an article from a peer-reviewed journal, we can be certain it went through this rigorous process, has been reviewed and signed off on by multiple experts in the field, and thus it's something we can trust. This doesn't mean we have to agree with its conclusions necessarily, but we can be sure that it came to those conclusions legitimately. So how do we figure out if the article we're looking at has been peer-reviewed? Unfortunately, on an article-by-article basis, there's usually no quick way of doing so. You can look up the journal online, go to its website, and check its submission criteria, which will tell prospective authors if their articles must go through peer review to be published. Or you can check the article's citations to see if the author thanks their reviewers, since they'll frequently be informed of their identity once the article is selected for publication. But luckily, when you're doing research at the library, there's a much easier method. Many of the library's databases simply include a handy peer review button. Check that, and the database will do all the work for you, filtering out all articles from journals that aren't peer reviewed. You also might see articles marked as peer reviewed in our catalog if you do an everything search from the library's front page. Unfortunately, other article search engines, like Google Scholar, do not have such an easy method, and it'll take some research on your part to determine if the article's peer-reviewed. If you're ever in doubt about an article, ask your professor or a librarian, and we can help you figure out if the journal is, indeed, peer-reviewed. So that's peer review. It's an extremely important part of academic publishing that maintains a high level of expectations among those who submit scholarly articles, which in turn maintains a high level of accuracy within the articles that get published. And this is why your professors will ask for peer-reviewed articles when you're doing research.